Hey guys, Filmsuit here. Feels good to be back. I've been insanely busy the last couple months, and yeah, there's really no excuse for being gone for so long. Well, actually, yeah, there kind of is. I've been insanely busy with trying to get my crap together at school, as well as I moved recently, as you notice in this background right here, compared to the background in a majority of my reviews from last year. And yeah, I'm and I also didn't really have money to go review movies because I saved up for a vacation for Comic-Con. So yeah, all in all, it feels good to be back. Let me just start. I mean, yes, obviously, I just saw Stoker. We'll get there. But first, a couple months ago, I did see the movie Gangster Squad, and I just want to say, to make up for not posting that review, all I'll just say is it was fun. It's a fun B noir movie. Like, picture a live action version of LA Noir, but with more stylized comic book shootouts. Okay, so now on to Stoker. Stoker is director Park Chan-Wook's American debut in film. You might know him from directing the Vengeance trilogy, Old Boy, Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance, Sympathy for Lady Vengeance. Yeah, this is his American film debut, and it is written by. They have an interesting screenwriter here. It's written by Wentworth Miller, the star of that old Fox hit series Prison Break, and he was also in those awful Resident Evil movies, or at least a couple of those anyway. Um, yeah. Anyway, it's written by Miller, directed by Park, and the premise is it's a remake, or at least inspired by the old Alfred Hitchcock film Shadow of a Doubt, and it focuses on the Stoker family. There's Evelyn Stoker, played by Nicole Kidman, and her daughter India, played by Mia Wasikowska. I don't know how to pronounce her last name, but anyway, I'll just refer her as India in this review. And so yeah, like what happens is India's father dies on her 18th birthday, and at the funeral, she's introduced to her very mysterious and yet utterly charming and cool and charismatic uncle that she didn't know she had, named Charlie, played by Matthew Good. Ozymandias from Watchmen. And what happens is she meets him, and he stays around. Like, he decides to just like stick around and help out her and Evelyn, keep them company. But in the meantime, Evelyn falls head over heels for Charlie unexpectedly, while India feels she just wants to be isolated and kind of like keep her distance from Charlie, although Charlie insists on getting to know her and being part of her family. And then that's where things get a little weird. You find that throughout the film, Charlie is not who he appears to be, and pretty soon, like, people start going missing. Like India's great aunt shows up to speak to Evelyn about Charlie. Next thing you know, she doesn't show up after that. Their main housekeeper, she had some disapproval of Charlie showing up. Next thing you know, she disappears as well, and that's when you kind of figure out that, or that's when you see that Charlie is a little more sinister than he appears to be. And given that it's a Park Chan-Wook movie based on an Alfred Hitchcock movie, I think it's safe to say that, without having to spoil anything, that Charlie is a psychopath. And that's not all, though. India becomes even more drawn to him when she even figures out that he's psycho, like she could relate to him and they could relate to each other, kind of making Evelyn feel withdrawn. So yeah, that's the premise of the movie. My reaction is, damn, this was an insane movie. It's, for starters, it's very poetic. Like, honestly, I was not expecting it to have a very Terrence Malickian, or Terrence Malick, but like, you know, Malickian vibe. It was very poetic at times and philosophical, and the cinematography was very much like a Terrence Malick movie. And also, it was a lot like a David Lynch movie because it really, this is actually where the movie gets pretty bizarre. They do a really good job combining sex and violence for a very disturbing effect to just throw you off and make you go like, what the hell is going on? Like, yeah, and in some ways Park Chan-Wook does it better than David Lynch did. But then again, he did the same thing for Oldboy, where, you know, where like one scene was incredibly violent, the next scene was a very disturbing sex scene, and yeah, Park Chan-Wook does the same thing here with surrealism and sex and violence. And then of course he has, like, he builds up the suspense like Alfred Hitchcock did. It's yeah, it's very much a Hitchcockian film. Like, this is like if Hitchcock were alive and had picked David Lynch and Terrence Malick to co-direct a movie about a girl who has a sexual awakening while unleashing her inner homicidal nature with the help of her equally homicidal uncle. This is what that movie would be, and it actually pays off pretty well in the end. I was quite satisfied with the end result. It was very chilling. It was effective. It was beautiful. Like, oh man, the visuals that Chan-Wook has are just breathtaking at times and very hypnotic too. Like, at times I was just so like into it that I could not take my eyes off. I couldn't take my eyes off the movie or off the screen. And Mia, or India, her performance is really good. I was very impressed. It's really hard to root for a psychopath in the film, and I knew from the start that there was something wrong with her. I knew, okay, she's not who she appears to be, and we're going to be rooting for her this whole time. Yeah. And India is just a very complex and multi-layered character that I think you'll have to watch the movie twice just to see, like, just to understand her better. As for Matthew Good as Uncle Charlie, I've always liked Matthew Good, and this is the third time I've seen him play a villain in the movie. The first was as Gary Spargo in that Joseph Gordon-Levitt heist movie, The Lookout. And the second was as Ozymandias in Zack Snyder's adaptation of Watchmen. And he continues to do great work as a villain, and he's very cool, cunning, charming, and even when we see just how twisted he is, we actually grow kind of sympathetic when you find out what his true motives are. It's not necessarily like, it is kind of selfish, but at the same time, you see that it's mainly all about family. Like, that's all he wants, is just to be a part of a family, but yet he's still a sicko. And then Nicole Kidman, honestly, this is probably my complaint about her. Her performance is fine. I thought she did a great job, but she was really underused. Like, from the trailer, she gives this monologue to India. It's in the first 30 seconds of the trailer, where she talks about how people want to be parents to have a fresh start in life and teach their kids how to just get ahead in life and do things right. And she ends it by saying that she just wants to see life tear India apart, and she says it to her in the most menacing and bitter and angry delivery imaginable. And so when I saw the trailer, I thought, she's going to be the mom from hell here. I thought she was going to be like Barbara Hershey in Black Swan. No, that was like her one scene where she was truly, and pardon my language, where she was truly batshit crazy. Other than that, she was actually very depressed and at times desperate for attention, and she was probably the most sympathetic character in the whole movie. And it's interesting to have the overbearing mother and even the murderous antagonist play off as more sympathetic characters than our main character. Yeah, this movie was just like, it took me by surprise. I knew I was gonna like it, but I didn't expect to love it. Like if you're a Park Chan-Wook fan, or if you like movies about dysfunctional families, or coming of age movies, or movies about serial killers, or if you just want a good suspenseful thriller with beautiful imagery and lots of symbolism, this movie's definitely for you. I definitely give it a really solid recommendation. And as I said a while back, and posted on Facebook a while back, I'm not exactly grading movies anymore. I don't have my set system, so yeah. I mean, who knows? This may make it on my top 10 of the year. It may make an honorable mention. You'll just have to wait and see.